All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
Welcome back to the Loose Wheels Show. My name is Andrew Hazley. With me, as usual, is Ethan Ignatowski.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'm practicing for Spanish because we have classes again.
Yeah, we do have classes again.
We also have Morgan Tremmel in studio as our live studio audience / occasional says something guy. Say something.
Yo, what's up? I'm back. I'll insert my random thoughts about racing as they come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is episode 33. Let's get into the reviews.
And now for last week's race reviews.
Richmond, Corey Heim won the Truck Series race once again. And now they're into the playoffs now, whenever their next race is. So, anyway, into stage one, Ryan Preece led from pole. Green flag pit stops for some, because Richmond, Ethan, is a track where tires wear. Mm-hmm. And you'll see throughout this review is some people are going to go try to add one more stop. Some people try to do one less stop in stages. So you'll see that as a recurring theme. But Hamlin passes Preece for the lead. As Hamlin pitted, Preece did not. Then Reddick passed Hamlin and went on to win stage one. Stage two, Bubba Wallace was first off of yellow flag pit stops. We had three big penalties. Hamlin, AJ Allmendinger, and Chase Elliott. Allmendinger qualified in the top four. I think it was fourth. It was either third or fourth. But yeah, a potentially great run for the Dinger just derailed early.
Very sad.
Wallace leads. Then we had green flag pit stops. Preece led. And then Austin Dillon passed Preece. And then we had Reddick pass Austin Dillon. And green flag pit stops. This is mid-cycle, but before these guys had pitted, Reddick got passed by Bubba Wallace. And then we had majority of the stops. But then Daniel Suarez hit Ty Gibbs into Tyler Reddick, which caused him to spin. Three drivers yet to pit. Those were Kyle Larson, Ryan Preece, and Daniel Suarez. Yellow flag for those who not pitted, and a few more. Bubba Wallace inherits the lead and then leads. And then Cody Ware spins. A few guys pit. And then Kyle Busch spins Chase Briscoe. And then a bunch of drivers were collected. You had Justin Haley, Kyle Busch himself was collected, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Todd Gilliland, and Ty Dillon. I believe Cole Custer was in there too. Yeah. And then after the wreck, Kyle Busch drove down the track into Chase Elliott, spinning him, and then collecting William Byron. So, Kyle Busch, you are the recipient of the ARCA Breaks Moment of the Week for just driving like a ding-dong.
I like ding-dongs. Those are good.
He collected not one,
but driving
but
like
two
a ding-dong is
chases.
bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Anyway, once we got going, Bubba Wallace on stage two. For stage three, Michael McDowell took two tires, Bubba Wallace second. McDowell had the lead. Christopher Bell, he had a long stop, lost a lot of time. So, Austin Dillon got the lead on restart. We had green flag pit stops. Bubba Wallace, say it with me, Ethan, loses a wheel on pit road. So we had a loose wheel. But, Ethan, is for the second time this year, we had a guy with a loose wheel stop in the 19-team pit box, and the 19 put the wheel back on for him. So, yeah, the 23 got a penalty, and they were basically out of the race in terms of battle for the win or anything good. But yeah, it's just something interesting that happened. Yeah. And then on the green flag pit stops, Christopher Bell had a penalty for driving over the commitment box. Hocevar leads. Blaney passes Hocevar. And then we had another round of green flag pit stops. Dillon passes Blaney. Hocevar was on a strategy where he had to pit again. Austin Dillon wins. And then William Byron is your regular season championship. I give this race a 6 out of 10. held my interest kind of throughout when I watched it because I was doing something on Saturday night and I wound up watching the race Sunday. So I knew Austin Dillon won. I'm not the biggest Austin Dillon guy in the world. So yeah, just it's unfortunate having Royce spoiled for you. But yeah, regardless, 6 out of 10. I'm going to talk about the NASCAR playoff point picture right now. Is with one race left, Tyler Reddick is 89 points up. Bowman is 60 points up. So they have clinched, assuming there's no new winner. If there's a new winner, Reddick is 29 points up on Bowman. So I don't know what the math is, but Bowman will have to earn at least 29 more points. I don't know where the tiebreaker is right now, and I'm going to look it up. So yeah, that's where we're at.
And now for the news.
Into the news, Ethan. Only one piece of news this week. I know Formula One in their mid-season break.
Yeah, this time next week we'll be talking about F1 again, but until then, no.
Till then, just cry.
IndyCar, nothing really happening. The NASCAR schedule got leaked by Jordan Bianchi, but that has Dover as the All-Star race, which I'm going to save those thoughts for a later time. So I'm not going to go into that. But the one piece of news today is just a quote by Mamba Smith, NASCAR's chief hype officer, among other things. He said, the point of the championship, I altered the quote because he said the point of it, and he was referring to the championship, is not to crown the best driver.
Which if it's not to do that, what is it for?
So we're gonna. So Mamba Smith already. You're getting the chicken awards. So squeaking you. I don't know where to start, Ethan Ignatovsky.
I think you start with the point that the championship is called the drivers' championship, and if the point of the drivers' championship isn't to crown the best driver, then literally what is it for?
There's no point.
So,
We've lost the point.
We've lost the
plot.
plot.
The plot is gone.
Like,
that is the worst
and it's
thing
he's trying to
say,
say, oh yeah, it's for an exciting finish, yada yada yada. But we're just
stupid.
producing this thing.
We're
just forcing it.
It's a sham. A little bit, I'd say.
It's a complete sham.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I was an enjoyer of the playoffs when it first came out. I said, oh, I like this. This is new. This is different. I like it. But over the course of time, there's no point.
It just feels like adding something to a product that's already, solid for no reason at this point. It's like it doesn't feel exhilarating, honestly. It just makes everything feel weird. That's my take on it. Is it makes everything about NASCAR and the way the championship works feel weird, because you have with racing it's much different than other what I feel like they were originally trying to do is market themselves towards a bigger audience by saying now we have playoffs, just like your major the four pro sports in America, like they all have playoffs. Look at us, now we have playoffs. But it just doesn't.
Yeah, if you look at the ratings, NASCAR's considered generally the worst races of the year are in the playoffs. You know why? Because the casual fans don't like the playoffs. The playoffs were made for, and
it's
they'd
too
rather
confusing for the casual fan.
They'd rather just watch the NFL. They know what's going on in the NFL.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you want to have a product, you have to make it good. They tried to make it good. It failed. I'm still of the proponent that, hey, if you want to have these races still, quote unquote, be interesting, but not force these moments, is you take your top 10 and points and then your 2 wild cards based on your winners, and just reset there with some playoff points, and then just run as it is. So you have the best of the best going against the best of the best. At the end of the day, that's what I'd like to see. I think going back, I don't think there's any way NASCAR goes back to full season points format at this point.
They should go back to the chase. At least.
That's why I was referring to the chase.
Yeah.
But the wound up being the last version before this quote unquote playoffs came in. But either that or the top 10 in points run and get reset. So we actually have something interesting. But no, NASCAR says, oh, if you get a win from Cody Ware could win Daytona, Ethan.
Yeah.
Who's at 36 points place, hasn't done diddly poo all year, and could get into the playoffs over Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick, who are both very deserving guys. You have Chris Buescher, who's had a good season. He deserves to be in the playoffs based off of what he's done, and has to win. So yeah, it's just frustrating. I'd even at this point like to, if we're gonna have the playoffs, let's just take the 16 best guys in points at this point, and just re-rack them from there. Just anything's better than what we've got at this point. I honestly, Ethan, with this 36 race schedule, we have everyone's in the playoffs. You have 36 full-time guys, and then we just have go from 36 to 35 to 34, cut one each race at this point, because that's what we're doing.
Also, I saw something on Twitter earlier today, which I think is very true and kind of an underrated aspect of this that no one really talks about. It kills the joy of an underdog winner. Like Harrison Burton's win last year should have been like super celebrated. Instead, it was like, how in the world is this guy in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think also NASCAR fans are just going to complain about everything, right or wrong.
Right or wrong, good or bad.
Yeah, right. Which is, some of it's warranted, some of it's not. Like, I see too much negativity on the discourse, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Just the idiocy just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Into the previews.
And now for next week's race previews.
IndyCar at Milwaukee. The 5 guys to watch out for are Will Power, won there alongside Pato O'Ward and Scott McLaughlin, all won there in the IndyCar series. Louis Foster won the Indy Next race last year there. And then the other guy, because there's not many races at Milwaukee in history, I put in my 5. Santino Ferrucci was the only driver who had 2 top 5s last year. I think 2 4th-place finishes. Both races, for the data, Ethan, I give 7.5 ratings. That's kind of what you might expect to see this weekend. And then in the Indy Next series, your guys changing positions are in the 3 Andretti Cape Indy Next is Michael D. Orlando. You have Max Taylor in the 18 for HMD. Also Davey Hamilton Jr. in the 24 for HMD at this point. That's all we have. Changing over to Daytona. You have the 5. I've got a lot of guys that have won there in the past. Denny Hamlin's won there 3 times alongside William Byron. They both have done that 3 times. Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. have won there twice, both time for both drivers. And Ryan Blaney's my 5th driver. He's only won there once, but he's always good at the super speedways. Honorable mentions, guys who've only won there once: Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones, and Justin Haley. So we could see a surprise winner up, just kind of potentially throwing out Tyler Reddick or Alex Bowman in this playoffs. So yeah, that will be interesting to see. Moving into the Xfinity Series, actually not that. Cup Series changing, guys. Austin Hill in the 33, Joey Gase in the 44, Casey Mears in the 66, and BJ McLeod in the 78. No 62 Beard Motorsports. This is the first plate race they've missed, or super speedway race at Daytona or Talladega they've missed in a long while. So that's kind of interesting. Xfinity Series, we have Cesar Baccarella in the 5, which is now the Alpha Prime 4th car. Josh Williams in the 45. 07 is going to be Patrick Emmerling for SS Greenlight Racing. Justin Haley in the 11 for Colleague Racing. Eric Almirola in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Rajah Caruth in the 32 for Jordan Anderson Racing. Joey Gase cars 35, Mason Maggio 53 will be Joey Gase. Leland Honeyman in the 70 for Cope Family Racing. 74 for Mike Harmon Racing is Logan Bearden. 92 and 91 for DGM Racing with Jesse Wuji. Motorsports are Josh Balicki in the 91 and 92 is Natalie Decker. The data, Ethan for Daytona is a 9 average. So great racing at Daytona, really good. So I think we can get a good race there this weekend. Fingers crossed. Who knows? At this point, I don't know anything anymore. So anyway, pick points. This podcast is sure something. It's not even a podcast at this point. Anyway, pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
I took the most points last week. I had 6 to your 1 and the guest 5.
Good job, Andrew.
I had Corey Heim winning. He did, and so did the guest. Shout out Adam Kunin over there. You and I had Denny Hamlin winning, who beat Christopher Bell. We had 1 point there, so that's how we got to the points. Overall, you have 256. I have 2. You have 256. I have 239. Guest 212. Morgan this week, who was here, he's not here anymore. I did guest picks. We both picked Miles Rowe. He has in the Indy Next race at Milwaukee. He has a 1-2 are his overall results this season. So that's why we picked him.
Yeah.
You didn't pick that Miles Rowe. You picked someone else, Ethan.
Yeah, I just said yeah. I was acknowledging what you said. I picked Dennis Hauger because he's really, really fast. I feel like he's getting better at ovals. That's all. No real reasoning beyond that.
Nothing in the brain. Our guest picked
nothing in the brain is crazy. I just said my reasoning. It just wasn't anything beyond that.
Nothing left in the brain, I guess. Alex Palou was the guest pick because he's Alex Palou. That was the exact wording he used. I went Scott McLaughlin. He's won there once. Ethan, what about you?
I went Pato Award because, well, mostly, honestly, because he lost. Not that he was going to ever track down Alex Palou, but he was eliminated from the championship last week. So time to, it's not even get revenge. It's like time to
state yourself.
That yeah.
You're now everyone's eyes are in second place.
Yeah, and I mean he's really good there. I mean he's won there before.
Only 2 races there.
Yeah, but one of them's a win. So when the series has only one race there a couple times, you're gonna say that he's good.
So yeah. Xfinity Series. Our guest picked Justin Allgaier. I'm not quite sure why he did. I don't remember him picking that. Anyway, no, he didn't. He picked Justin Haley. Wrong Justin. I think I put that in wrong. Also known as A.J. Allmendinger's son, if you know, you know. This is an Austin Hill Invitational. First one since he decided to commit terrorism, yeah. So I'm still going to pick Austin Hill. Not as confident as I normally would be.
I'm going to take his teammate, Jesse Love, because I feel like he's reaching that portion where he's pretty much just as good. And he also hasn't committed terrorism anytime recently.
Maybe on TikTok, arguably, or not even TikTok, Instagram Reels. But regardless, Cup Series Daytona, you and the guests have the same pick, so I'm not going to spoil that. But I took Austin Cindric. He's won there before, won Talladega earlier this year. I feel like they're going to build something. Penske's always great in the playoffs. And what a better time to get right before the playoffs at Daytona, one of his best tracks. So I kind of expect we'll see a winner out of left field.
I think that's fair. It's Daytona. There's definitely always a chance for that. You never really know what you're going to get. You always expect there to be the big one, which takes out a large majority of people. So if you think that they'll take out a bunch of front runners, I think that's fair to say. I'm taking William Byron, who clinched the regular season championship last time out at Richmond. He's won 2 of the last 3 races at Daytona. It's becoming a really solid track for him. Has not had the same success in recent years in the fall Daytona race. He has won it before, but in recent years the success hasn't quite been there. But he's a guy that knows how to win on that track, and if he can stay out of trouble, he has just about as good of a shot to win as anyone else. And you can't really predict who's going to get collected in a wreck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's as good of a pick as any.
Yeah, so do we want to wrap it up here or go to our F1 driver rankings here? It's your call.
We can run through them quickly,
All
I
right,
think.
we have F1 driver rankings. Do we want to go from 1 to 21 or 21 to 1?
21 to 1.
Because there are been 21 drivers. I think we both have the same one.
Yeah.
Franco Colapinto, just
21, yeah. I mean, he's been pretty meh. Like, and that I think that's being a little nice. He's wrecked a lot. He didn't start in Great Britain. The rumors were that he just killed the car. Basically, he burnt the clutch. And he just keeps on wrecking. And Jack Doohan, who is 20th for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
He wasn't anything great. He had that mistake in Australia, but so did half the grid. He had that really just dumb mistake in Japan qualifying or maybe practice, which was also not great. And he just wasn't great overall. But I think that he showed more flashes in China and in Bahrain, for example, than anything that I've seen from Franco this year. Maybe Franco in Canada was solid, but I mean, the Alpine seems to be a lot better now, and Franco is pretty much putting in the same results as Jack Doohan, whereas Jack Doohan was not too far off from Pierre Gasly. I feel like he was still obviously behind, but it didn't seem like he was worlds behind.
Yeah. I think the same thing is just two guys that hadn't completed the full season are at the bottom. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
My number 19 guy, Yuki Tsunoda, just underwhelmed in the Red Bull once he got there. Only 3 points finishes.
Yeah.
I know that the second Red Bull seat's cursed, but this is the worst it's been.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been bad. He wasn't even. He just was never competitive this year at any point, which is twist and shut it.
Yeah, it's not twisting. Oh, there it goes.
It's just it like you said, you hit the nail on the head. Really disappointing. And I have Liam Lawson 18th.
Yeah, I do too.
Because he wasn't any better than Yuki, but since going back to RB, he's had some really nice results, and that's more than you can say for Yuki. So therefore, I have to give him the slight edge, even though he did get dropped from that seat. And I think it's kind of unfair to drop him because you gave it to him in the first place. He shouldn't have had it in the first place, but if you're going to give it to him, you have to stand by him for a little bit at least. That's my opinion at least.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just kind of you hit the nail on the head there, Ethan. I don't have anything else to say. I think this is where our rankings deviate, if I'm not mistaken. I've got Pierre Gasly 17, and I like Pierre Gasly. He's just been very underwhelming. I know that car isn't very good, but only, what is that, 3 points finishes this year? That's not what you'd expect out of a veteran like Gasly.
I disagree a lot, but we'll get there when we get there. My 17th is Lance Stroll. He's had some really nice performances, and on paper he does have as many points as Fernando, but overall it's been like a couple really good races mixed in with some real stinkers, and I don't know. I think 17th might be a little harsh on paper, but the midfield is so talented right now that I'm okay with putting him 17th.
I have him further up, but Well, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
My number 16 is Ollie Behrman, rookie.
Me too.
This is not a slight on Ollie Behrman, but he's just kind of underwhelmed as a rookie, and that's fine.
Yeah, like I said, you know, the midfield is so tight right now, and I mean, he's been really, really close to points on so many occasions. I mean, he finished 11th 4 times in a row. It's just he hasn't really had like one race where it's like, oh wow, really nice job, or something like that. So it's it like you said, it's not a slight against him. It's just that's the way it's been, and he there's no highlight. It's just been solid, but there's no highlight.
And we had a studio audience earlier in the show, and now Austin Hurst is here for the studio audience once
Hello.
again.
How's everyone doing?
Is this your
Good.
Loose Wheel Show debut?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our very own graphic assistant.
Yeah, I'm here. Glad to be here, man.
If you can shut the door because
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a bunch of
we'll
weird
do-
freshmen by.
Oh, they're doing their Cronkite introduction tour.
Yeah. On to 15th.
I have Gabriel Bortoleto.
I have Carlos Sainz. I've been really, really, really disappointed in Carlos
You and me
Sainz
both.
this year. I mean, you're a guy that said he was better than Charles Leclerc at one point, which I always thought was crazy. I do rate Carlos highly. I just think that he's struggling in that Williams new power unit, completely new car. But, like, you would think that at this point in the season, he would be able to turn it around. And, like,
He
his
just
last
hasn't.
few races have been just as bad as any of them. I mean, they might be his worst races all year. He's not improving. I don't understand how that's possible. I hope next year is better. But for now, he's been bottom 25% driver-ish, in my opinion, because, like, technically there's 21 drivers. But, you know, he's not had a good year. It's surprising to me.
Yeah, I had Sainz as my 14th driver. I just saw there's 3 more
No.
points finishes than Bortoleto.
Oh.
So that's kind of why I had him higher. But yeah, Bortoleto, like Ollie Behrman, is having a fine season. Done well with that car these last few rounds, but in the beginning is kind of slow stretch. But yeah, Carlos Sainz very disappointing, like you said, Ethan.
In 14th, I have Esteban Ocon. He is a lot higher up the points standing finishes than Oliver Behrman, but really, like, you look at it, like, Behrman was finishing, like, 11th, and Esteban was finishing, like, 9th and 10th. It's not like it was a crazy difference between the two drivers. I think he's been a fine team leader, but I also just don't think he's been anything special this year. And like I said, with the midfield so talented right now in Formula One, that kind of just puts him a little below middle of the pack, in my opinion.
You mentioned Lance Stroll earlier, and for my 13th position is Lance Stroll. I don't have him
Did
as
you say
far.
your 14th?
No, I said 14 was Carlos.
Oh, okay.
13 is Lance Stroll, like I said. He's having a fine season like he always kind of seems to do in that Aston Martin, but just it's happening. Only 4 points finishes, but they all have been decent. All 3 of the 4 have been in the top 7, which doesn't really mean anything because that's an arbitrary number I made up, but still.
Yeah. 13th, I have Gabriel Bortoleto. I think that he's shown some flashes, especially recently, so this might honestly be some recency bias, which kind of tends to happen in mid-season rankings, or even end-of-season rankings, honestly. But I think he has shown some flashes. I think especially early on in the year when that car was so difficult to drive, he was performing pretty much just as well as Nico. And he's had some really good qualifying performances, especially easily in a car that I still don't think is easy to drive. I mean, Nico's had some amazing performances, but he also has like 15 years of experience on Gabriel Bortoleto.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been pretty impressed with what Bortoleto has done in such a, especially early in the year, bad car.
Yeah, my number 12 is I'm sticking on that Aston Martin train. Fernando Alonso. He's had a good turnaround in the last 6 races, 5 points finishes. But before that, first chunk of the year, he didn't get any points finishes. So that's kind of just why he's there. He just really hasn't beat Lance that much and hasn't shown what I've seen in the past few years of him just being very consistent, being good at as good as he could be. I think he's regressed a lot this year.
In 12th, I have Lewis Hamilton, which might be kind of crazy to some people, but I think that he's having a really tough time adjusting to that. Ferrari, I mean, you look at the points difference with him and Charles, and it's like 40 points, which, is a sizable amount, but also in some ways not anything crazy. Because when you look at it, like, there's been some races where they're, just a few positions between the guys, but even when there's only 1 or 2 spots between them, time-wise, there's a 30-second difference in between them, and that's kind of crazy for the best driver of a generation to be that far behind his teammate, even if it's for his first year in that car. I would expect him to be a little closer, because even if they are 5th and 6th in the actual driver standings, the gap between the two on track at times has just been kind of crazy. And I think that this, I keep saying, this middle section could go so many different ways because it's so close. But just the way I have it, I've been disappointed in Lewis, and I think he's been disappointed in himself.
That's fair to say. My 10th place, or actually 11th place, I'm all cattywampus here, is Kimi Antonelli.
I also have Kimi at 11.
He's shown decent speed. He had 5 points finishes in the first 6 races, but then just had a terrible stretch, which did have a podium in it. But if you exclude that, that's a 7-race stretch where he only had a podium, which is a podium's great as a rookie, but the rest of it's just
Well,
but he did have a 10th place finish at Hungary, the most recent race. But yeah, it just kind of been underwhelming.
It's hard to rate Kimi, in my opinion, which is why I'm surprised we both have him at 11th. But the reason, in my opinion, it's hard to rate him is because he's had 4 retirements, and all 4 of them have been just mechanical issues. He hasn't done anything wrong, but that's still 4 races less of a sample size to rate him than anyone else. And also, Monaco is just such an outlier bad race for the team, and the team basically sacrificed him in Monaco and to try to get George in P11. So that was just awful. And he's had some shockers. Belgium was really bad. Hungary wasn't as good as it could have been. Bahrain wasn't as good as it could have been, but he's also shown some flashes. Canada was a perfectly driven race from him, holding off Oscar Piastri. He's done some nice stuff, but it's a hard year to grade, in my opinion. At times, I think he's been a borderline top 7 driver, and at times I think he's been a bottom 5 driver. Overall, I think he's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's fair. My next go cracking now the halfway point. 10, Isaac Hadjar for me. Been very impressive year as a rookie. 5 points finishes in an RB car. That's kind of just there, which is being there. That's got to be kind of back half of the grid and back half the midfield. So that's kind of impressive what he's shown for me. Even though he had a couple bad moments in there, but just kind of kept it good for the most part.
For me, I have Nico Hülkenberg coming in 10th. Obviously, the highlight of anyone's season, I'd say, best moment of the entire year for any F1 driver was his podium in the UK, snapping his streak from the beginning of his career. First ever podium, longest streak of finishes without a podium in F1 history. Finally got that podium. It was such an amazing moment, Andrew. I woke up, watched the back half of that race. I couldn't believe that Nico Hülkenberg was in 3rd place, and he did it. Outside of that moment, though, it's been a really like solid year, but nothing crazy like that outside of that one podium. And so for me, really solid, but nothing spectacular outside of one race. I think that's like the definition of middle of the pack.
Yeah.
He's obviously impressed in a car that's been really bad, especially in recent weeks. Probably about like the last month and a half of racing, where that car started to get going. He's done some pretty respectable results, but like nothing, like I said, nothing crazy. It's just been solid, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's a top 10 performance. I don't want to like downplay what he's done, but I feel like people might put him too high just because of one really good race, even if that does deserve to be hyped to an extent.
That's fair. I'm going to talk about a
makes
guy who you underrated at my 9th spot is Esteban Ocon. Esty Bestie, he's had a good amount of... Yeah, that's his nickname. He's had 5 points finishes this year. With the midfield being as crazy as it is, that's pretty good. As a fifth place out in China, and a few other good solid finishes as well. I mean, like you said, Ethan, this midfield's just so hard to throw in, so that's why I had. Who do you have at 9?
At 9, I have Fernando Alonso. Again, this might be a thing where I feel like it's recency bias, but I also feel like he was really unlucky at the beginning of the season. He had some, obviously Australia, if we want to go back to the very start of the season, that was just a rookie mistake from a guy who's in his 40s and should know better than to spin out in the wet. But apart from that, it's been some bad luck and then some like borderline finishes. Because like in my opinion, an 11th place finish and a 10th place finish, obviously there's a points difference. But like, it's one spot apart. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, you didn't finish in the points when he has 3 11th place finishes on the year. Like, I'm gonna give you credit. Like, it's so hard to get points in modern F1 with like how dominant McLaren is, how dominant compared to other teams. Ferrari is, Mercedes, Max Verstappen. It's hard to pick up points. So if you are able to constantly finish 11th and then back end of the season or the first half of the season, he's been constantly getting points. I think that's commendable. I think that he has done a lot better than Lance, even if they're tied on points, which is hard to like describe and put into words, especially since we're not trying to take hours to describe our rankings. But like, if you watch the races, I think it's easy to tell that Fernando Alonso is a lot better than Lance Stroll. I think he's taken a step back from recent years. I think there's been a lot of mistakes this year where I've been like, oh, that's not Fernando Alonso.
Right.
So he's not quite the Fernando Alonso of old, but he's also like 40-something years old. He can take a step back and still be a top 10 driver, borderline in the sport, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Moving into my update, I had Lewis 8. I that's the guy you already mentioned. I just, he's struggled, but something I didn't take into account is the results off the stat sheet. But he still had a good year, only 2 non-points finishes, which in this season that we've had, that's still solid. Like, I think that's still a top 10 performance this year. Is it as good as his teammate Charles? No.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Next up in for my 8th, I have the guy who we disagree with on paper, the most. How would you say it?
The
biggest gap. It's 105 degrees outside. My brain is cooked, dude. I have Pierre Gasly. Obviously, you think that he's had a really bad year. I think he's had a really good year, dude. Just because that car looked absolutely awful, And like, yeah, both his teammates have been horrible, but in any racing series, especially F1, where all the cars are different, you're first going to be judged against your teammate. He has outperformed his teammates so much this year, it's not even funny. Especially Franco Colapinto right now, who people, rate highly for whatever reason. He's outperformed them so much. 20 points for him to 0 points for Franco and Jack. He's had some really, really solid performances. Some really tough races, of course, too, because that car is awful. But he's been able to shine through and carry that car into the points on multiple occasions when it just doesn't belong there. And so that's why I rank him 8th. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, maybe that's a little high, but I think he's a lot higher than 17th where you had him.
Yeah, I just expect better from him. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe that, I don't know. But regardless, moving on to 7th place, is where I had Nico Hulkenberg. Solid season. We all thought, oh, the kick car's not going to be good, or Sauber.
Or one of my hot takes
call it.
One of my preseason hot takes was that they were going to score 0 points.
Yeah, that just shows to like what that team has done to improve, and a podium can't be overlooked. That's why I have those guys, I think, rated maybe a little higher than I would have thought. But regardless, I think that's worth something to me.
I mean, Hulk's just such a solid driver. Yeah. Moving on to my number 7, I have Isaac Hadjar, who I think has been the best rookie this season. He had a horrible start to the year in Australia, and ever since then has been really, really solid. The past month or so of racing has been a little more rough than what led up to that, but he was putting in some very, very impressive drives at the start of the season that I don't want to knock him down too much. I still want to give love for how good he was early in the season. Like I said, I think he's been the best rookie. He's had some just not mind-boggling, but close to mind-boggling performances, I'd say, as a rookie. Up until recently, he was outperforming Liam Lawson. And I think for the year, you can still say that he's outperformed Liam Lawson. There's a lot of there's a high ceiling. You can see that with Isaac, and I didn't know if that's the kind of driver that he was, but he's shown flashes of a really, really good Formula One driver. He's been amazing in qualifying for the most part. I hope he can get more to that earlier season form, because I don't want to have to continue to slide him down my rankings when it comes end of season ranking time.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a little bit of bias even, because going into the year I was like, okay, Isaac Hadjar, whatever. Okay, cool, sure. He's become one of my favorite drivers. He's become my second favorite driver on the grid, honestly. So this might be a little bit of bias, but I think he's been the best rookie. I think he's been impressive.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. Moving up to my 6th spot, I got Charles Leclerc. Just the Ferrari, he's been good. He's had 4 podiums this year, but only beating his teammate by 1 position. Yeah, it's a big gap, but I'd figure that if this is a guy who's a great driver, that he should be ahead of Russell. That's what everyone tells me. I push back on that a little bit. I think he's a bit overrated, so that's why I think he is a 6th place driver. I think you can flip him with the guy who I have 5th, and I think you have 6th, but
yeah,
I'm just not impressed.
Okay, that's, in my opinion, that's crazy, but I also understand where you're coming from, even if I don't agree. In my 6th, I have Alex Albon, who has been so awesome this year. Like, we can both agree on that.
I have him 5th.
He's been absolutely amazing this year. I think that Williams has really started to shine, at least under his driving. You know, he's been there for a while. He understands the team. He understands how that car drives. He's had, 2 finishes outside of the points, and that is really, really impressive. I mean, he's made some amazing passes as well. I mean, that move that he made in Canada might be the pass of the year as far as Formula One is concerned. He's just been so impressive, but at the same time, it's like it's still a little shocking, but it's not like, oh my god, what's happening that Alex Albon is putting in these performances. Like, he's made this the standard, and that in itself is impressive, but in a way, it also doesn't make him like quite a top 5 driver for me, because this is just kind of how it is now. Maybe that's a bad way to think about it, but in my opinion, just outside the top 5 at 6, still an amazing year, still an amazing driver. He's proven a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, I have him at the 5, like I said earlier. Like, he's proven me wrong.
Yeah.
I thought, Carlos Sainz, he's gonna. I wouldn't say boat race, but I think that.
I thought it was gonna be.
I thought
close, but in Carlos's favor.
Yeah, I agree. But Alex has established himself as a guy who got done wrong by Red Bull, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Like, who's he had in his teammate before this? Who was it? Latifi?
He's had Latifi and Sargent.
And Cole Pinto for that. So he really hasn't had anyone really of note to go against. And now that we see, this is someone competent. Because we know Carlos Sainz is competent.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe this guy is better than what I thought and what a lot of F1 thought.
Yeah. Well said, Andrew. And 5th, I have Leclerc. I think he's had an amazing year. Like, I think that there's an argument that he could even go higher than 5th in my opinion. Some podiums in a Ferrari that at times looks really rough to drive. 2nd in Monaco, split the McLarens, which I think is super impressive. Especially, we all know how difficult that track is. We all know how fast the McLarens are. The fact that he split Lando and Oscar, that's very impressive in my opinion. And just some real steady results, battling hard, getting the most out of that car. And when you hear the radio messages between him and the team this year, you wonder how in the world is he doing as well as he is, because that team is so incompetent, but he's just making it work.
I just did a switch of my 3 and 4. I have Max at my 4 now.
Really?
Max, he does have 2 wins and a bunch of seconds, but I'll tell you why I switched the 2, but I think there's an argument for 3 and 4 to be Max and this other guy. So I'll let you kind of get into who you're 4.
Okay, well, my 4 is Lando Norris.
Okay, so that throws everything I had out the window.
I think that, look, the McLarens are so fast, dude. I think that they are by far the best car on the grid. And Lando has had some amazing performances, especially lately. I think that there's a world out there where he finishes the season as my 2nd-ranked driver, maybe even 1st. I don't think it's out of the question, but so far, he's had some laughers. I mean, in Canada, I have no idea what he was thinking. And when we get to this top part of the grid, I'm gonna be a little bit more nitpicky. You know what I mean? I expect a guy like Lando Norris to not run into the back of his teammate. Lando Norris is an established, really, really good driver, but he has just been at some points this season. I mean, Saudi Arabia, the crash in qualifying was bad. He's been real far from Oscar at some points. At some points, it's been reversed, but it's been mostly leaned in favor of Oscar. I think there are people being too hard on Lando compared to Oscar. The gap is close. Oscar has done better than Lando this year, but I don't think it's been absolutely crazy. But yeah, with how good that car is, with the, I kind of want to throw the experience argument outside, out the window, because Oscar is established at this point.
Yeah, when you're established, you're established.
But, with the experience he has, you expect him to not make these mistakes. Yeah. I'll say that. So I'm going to be nitpicky. I think that he should, at worst be finishing 2nd every single race, 3rd at absolute worst, just because of how good these cars are. And he's had some performances that have stopped him from doing that. And when he has finished second, sometimes to Oscar, sometimes the gap has been really big. I love Lando Norris. I think he's an amazing driver. I also think he's been the fourth best driver on the grid this year. That's just how I view it.
That's fair. My 3 is George Russell. Those are 2 that I swapped. Russell's got 1 more points or podium finish rather by my count to Max. So that's kind of why I switched the 2. But yeah, both of them have done well, better than expected. Yeah, just that's kind of gave the edge. Yeah, Max has done more with the worst car, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on Max. Maybe I think, and now I think about it, that was kind of a bad swap. But regardless, I think those 2 are kind of interchangeable in a way. Only time he didn't finish in the points was Monaco with that race.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In third, I have Oscar Piastri, because, like I said, I think that where are you going, bud? I think that the difference between them hasn't been that big. I think Oscar, he's obviously been better. He's leading the championship right now. He has, at some points, made Lando look silly, but there's also been points where Oscar has made himself look silly. Getting split at Monaco, not good. Getting passed by Max at Imola, that was not good. Australia, first race of the season, that was not good. Canada, I that was just a bad weekend for McLaren, but I also, expect him to be on the podium. If I expect Lando to do good, I also expect Oscar to do good. Oscar has been better, and he's leading the championship, but it hasn't been like smooth sailing championship leading like we've seen in years past from Max or Lewis or guys like that. There's been a lot more road bumps, in my opinion. I think that, just like I said for Lando, like, absolute worst he should be finishing is third. You expect him to finish second, if not first most weekends, and he's dropped below second a fair number of times, and I understand that that's a crazy standard to hold a driver to, but when you consider how good the McLaren is, you consider that this is the guy in the championship lead, you consider how good the years have been from championship winners in the past, he isn't quite that dominant standard, and maybe I'm just holding people to too high of a standard, but he just doesn't meet the standard of a championship leader in recent years. That might be too harsh. I get it, but that's my opinion.
I mean, I'm at my 2 cents. So I'm not big into racing, don't get me wrong. But, like, when you just look at the 2 points, you got Oscar leading at 284, Lando second, 275, third, 187, fourth, 172. It's just a huge drop-off from the top 2. So at the end of the day, those are the 2 you're really focusing on. And, like you said, I mean, you expect both of them to either be on the podium or winning. And, like, when you hold someone at such high standards, it's hard to
when they're not there.
When they're not there, it's like hard to consider them up there. But like,
it's the car is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Like I still think that these 2 guys are in the top 4 best drivers in the sport, and I would say that every single year.
That's fair, yeah.
But it's not the level of dominant championship leading that we've seen in recent years. And like I said, I understand if you think that that's too high of a standard to hold these guys to, but we can only rate F1 championship leaders against other F1 championship leaders that we've had in the past, and if we're doing that, Oscar isn't quite there yet. He can have a beautiful second half of the season and be my best driver, but I think that the 2 guys I have ahead of him have been more impressive given their machinery.
That's an interesting take. Here's what I have to say, Ethan. Because I have Oscar and Lando 1 and 2 in some order. So, my thoughts with Eddie is, Max and George have been very impressive in their machinery, but you got to win the championship. And after all, Oscar and Lando are driving the same car, yeah, their results are probably going to be similar, right? So regardless, that's kind of my thoughts. I have Lando too. Just he hasn't been as good as Oscar this year. That's why I have him too. What was that?
3, I have Max. I mean, honestly, the fact that he's won even 2 races this
You
year.
mean 2?
Yeah, 2. I have Max. Just because 1, that Red Bull seems even more difficult to drive in years past, and 1, that McLaren is just so much faster. But he has won on pace 2 times. I mean, that pass in Imola for the lead and then being able to hold on was beautiful work. Japan, he just dominated that weekend out of nowhere. He's finished second on 3 occasions. You know, when you know, in your head you feel like a McLaren should probably be there. Nope, he's inserted himself there. He's taken advantage of other people's mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes. I mean, the only knock that I can think of against Max this year is him intentionally wrecking into George. And I think that's a bad mark on him as a person. And I use that, I don't even want to say that. It's not a bad mark. It's a bad mark on his character as a driver.
Yeah.
But it's not a mark on, like, his ability.
You're right.
Like, he is still the best driver in Formula 1. It's just that, I mean, obviously...
He doesn't think with his head sometimes.
He doesn't think with his head sometimes. He's been extremely impressive. You know, going into next year, I think we'll all still be saying that he's the best driver in Formula 1. But I do think that first half of the season, there is someone else that has performed better than him.
Yeah, and... Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Obviously, you have Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, I do. I mean, championship leader. I think caught some people by surprise and how good he was going to be.
Yeah.
Not me. I said he was going to... I didn't say he was going to be Max. I just didn't have Red Bull being a cesspool that they are.
Yeah.
If I had known Christian Horner's getting dumped mid-year, I would have said Oscar's going to win the championship. So regardless of that, I say, yeah, Oscar's a guy who's gonna be a player for a long time.
Yeah. And if you're keeping score at home, you'll know that the one guy I haven't said yet is George Russell. I think that George Russell has been the best driver this year. I think that Mercedes is not anything too special, but he's gotten a lot of really good results out of it. It's not a surprise to see him on the podium. He's won a race this year. He's been very, very consistent. Only one finish outside of the top 10, and that was Monaco, which is just a joke of a race. He's been very, very quick on his day. He's battled hard. People always say, like, does nothing, P3. In my opinion, that shouldn't be seen as like a mark. Like he goes to work, does his job, and performs. Maybe it's not like on camera spectacular, but he's making it look like nothing when in reality yes, Kimi's a rookie, but he's destroying his teammate. He's getting result week in and week out in a car that is very temperamental. It doesn't matter. He is always extracting the most out of it. There hasn't, and like I said, you know, maybe I'm looking at this all wrong because I'm holding Lando and Oscar to too high of a standard, but there hasn't been a time this year where I've looked at George and I've been like, man, I think he's underperformed here. Whereas with Lando, I've definitely felt it, and with Oscar, like I said, 2, 3, 4 races, honestly, where I felt that Oscar has underperformed. Australia, Imola, Monaco, and Canada. With George, I feel like he's only underperformed at Monaco, and I don't even think that that's his fault.
Yeah, that's a fair take. Also, one thing about Oscar Piastri that I didn't say, he's finished on the points every race, which is what you're supposed to do, but it's still very hard to do with reliability and just not being a ding dong and drive into another race car.
He's the only driver that can say that this year, I believe. So that's, it's not the end all be all, but it is impressive.
Yeah. So I think that's really it. This has been the episode 33 weird episode, that's for sure. And we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel. The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.
Absolutely great. I can just say
Meanwhile, we get my Morgan intermission. So I really think that plastic cups are honestly underrated. Like,
why? Walk me through that. I think that they're like properly rated because like they have its use, but it's also not like an everyday item, and I think that's how people view them.
I feel like if you can put anything in a plastic cup, like glass cups, sometimes you feel like that's inappropriate to think. I think the only thing that sometimes is inappropriate to put inside a plastic cup is wine. Other than that, like a plastic cup can be used for anything you want to put in there.
Yeah, not fair.
Like, even hot beverages you can still put in plastic cups.
But what about the it's bad for the environment crowd?
Oh, I mean, those people just aren't reusing their plastic cups properly. You can reuse them if you want to. Sure, it's a little bit harder, but
no one does that though.
Yeah,
that's not what they're.
You can still recycle them though. Still put them in the recycling.
Right.
I mean, if you're really
but still,
are
like
part of that pro-environment.
even like recycling like single-use plastic, like there's a reason that there's been a whole movement behind like people like getting like reusable water bottles instead of like using a plastic water bottle, then gaining another one. You know what I mean? Like there's and I feel like that's a large part of the
knock against them.
Yeah, a large portion of the population has an issue with that single-use plastic.
And I understand that, but I think they're not looking towards reusing in other ways. You can do a lot of stuff with a plastic bottle. My mom, she puts she like grows plants out of plants out of plastic bottles. Like there's a lot of other uses.
But how many people are doing that, right? Like, because I understand your point. Like, it fully optimized. This is how it is, but the majority
not enough. That's why I think it's underrated.
Okay, I understand, but
I think they're very slightly underrated.
In the way that the general population is using them, and in the way that I would use them, in the way that I think they're good is, you use them sometimes if you're like hosting a party or whatever, or if a large gathering, and you just, it's easy, and if you drop a glass on the floor, it's broken. If you drop a plastic cup, it's fine. Yeah. So like for things like that, like sure, but I think overall it's just.
I just think I'm a little biased being a college student now. I'm a big user of the plastic cup.
Right.
So, like, honestly, that might be clouding it. I think maybe once I grow up and I see that, other uses. But the fact that I don't have to put them in a dishwasher and I can it's a really easy single-use item, I think that's pretty great.
Are you part of the red Solo Cup supremacy, or are the other colors okay as well?
I'm fine with the other colors. I do prefer the red Solo Cup just because it's a classic and there's a reason it's a classic. But I think the other colors are good too.
I believe Toby Keith once said, "Red Solo Cup, you are my friend."
Yeah. I think just if you have the option to get a red Solo Cup, just get the red ones. You don't need to be different unless you're trying to fit an exact theme. Red is the way to go.
I agree with that.